Focus on today, my colleague Heidi Giokos following the interview that started earlier today, joining us now live just to look back at what's happening and just before we get back at 3 o'clock to the continuation. Heidi, a very good afternoon. It's been a long day, I guess, so far for Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, who's being interviewed today for that Chief Justice role of the Concord. One of the first questions was his term at the Concord. He's almost up. Remember that 12-year full term is 12 years and cannot be extended. Why does he think he's the best for the job?
So, Bradan, it's been a very long day, and I must say it's probably been the longest for Justice Madlanga because he has had to sit through all of this, ask questions from the commissioners here during this Judicial Service Commission, interviews for the position for Chief Justice at the Constitutional Court. But the biggest issue, and I think we're all expecting questions to be raised about what the plan is, given the fact that he only has about 3.5 years left to be at the Constitutional Court. There's a 12-year cycle period that Constitutional Court judges have to be at the Constitutional Court, and given the fact that Justice Madlanga has been at the Concord since 2013, he only has about 3.5 years left. So what exactly should the Judicial Service Commission consider, as well as the President, given that he only has 3.5 years left? But he says he feels as though there is an entitlement for the judges to ask for an extension, which he says he can certainly ask for. But he says what he's planning to implement and the visions and ideas he has to deal with the issues within the judiciary can be implemented within 3.5 years. He says it's a very long time, and he says even if he does not complete all that he plans to implement, his ideas and visions, he says it can certainly be moved over to the next Chief Justice because it's pressing issues that will definitely solve some of the issues that the judiciary is currently facing. So he doesn't see that as a disadvantage, but of course that is something that the Commission will definitely have to consider, as well as President Cyril Ramaphosa, when he makes the decision on who's best fit to take up Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court.
Yeah, now Heidi, there's also been much criticism about how long courts sit with cases and take long to deliver judgments. Justice Madlanga had quite a bit to say about this.
Yes, certainly. I think this is criticism that we've experienced not only with the Constitutional Court, but with courts across the country, that matters take far too long to be heard, judgments are not delivered timeously, and this, what do they say? They say the wheels of justice are turning very slowly, and that's not how it should be, especially what's outlined in our Constitution. So Justice Madlanga has indicated that when there was an amendment to the Constitutional Court and what it can preside over, back in 2013, there was an amendment to say it can not only be Constitutional Court matters that the Concord looks at, but it can also be other general public interest matters. And when that amendment was taken, it moved over from about 100 cases per year to over 400 cases. And there's a huge administrative task in trying to handle such cases in the highest court of the land. So Justice Madlanga is saying that there are processes in place to try and speed up this process, and that the Chief Justice should not be seen as the super general secretary. So he should not be the person to fulfill all these administrative tasks, but rather there should be a support structure within the judiciary to make sure that the Chief Justice has his judiciary role fulfilled, but also that all the admin work that comes with it is also fulfilled. I think we have a soundbite. Bradan, let's perhaps listen to that.
For a long time, from about 2009, and 2009 is a signpost because that is a time when the working procedures of the Constitutional Court were last revised. Around that time, and even beyond, up to 2013, new applications averaged around 100, just over 100 in total. And then came, with effect from the 23rd of August 2013, a constitutional amendment which afforded the Constitutional Court what we loosely call general jurisdiction, the effect of which was that the Constitutional Court no longer adjudicates only constitutional matters. As you know, Chair, it now adjudicates even matters involving arguable points of law of general public importance. It was to be expected that there would be a sudden deluge of applications. Indeed, there was an increase in 2013 already, that is the year of the amendment.
Constitutional Court Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga. Of course, Heidi, he's going to be back facing more questions from 3 o'clock in about 10 minutes or so time, and we'll be live from there. But before I let you go, Heidi, to resume your seat there as you take a breather preparing for the 3 o'clock session, your sentiment just about the mood in the room. And I'm asking this because, you know, in the past, the Judicial Services Commission has run into all sorts of problems by the type of questions that they ask the judges and their behavior in there. What's the mood like today from your view?
Well, Bradan, what I can tell you is that I think the mood is going to change significantly in the next couple of days, and I think it all has to do with the candidates that are going to be interviewed as of tomorrow. The mood today has been very calm. It's been very collected. There haven't been any aggressive questions posed or questions that do not sit well with the candidates. And it's an important point you highlight, because in the previous Constitutional Court interviews that happened last year, they had to be redone because of the kind of questions that were posed and the conduct and manner in which they were presented, especially by the EFF leader Julius Malema. So this time around, we haven't seen anything yet, but I do think after lunch there will be more questions posed. But it's also got a lot to do with the kind of response and the way in which Justice Madlanga has been responding. Very reserved, very contained, very measured in his answers. And when he doesn't have an answer, he says, I don't want to answer off the cuff, and I would rather prepare before I answer this question. So the mood has not been aggressive in any kind of way, and we'll hopefully see what happens after the break.
So please, I ask you that question, Heidi. Thank you very much for giving us a sense of the mood in the room. We'll see what happens after 3 o'clock. That's Heidi Giokos there at those hearings there. The Constitutional Court Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga there in the hot seat once more as he continues to be interviewed today.